All right, we're going to make three more parts in this episode. Let's take a look at the brick 1x2 without pin, the round plate 1x1, and the roof tile. So 1x1x2/3 on this. So let's give those a go. We're going to start with the 1x2 without a pin. So we're going to start with the 1x2 plate, and then we're going to modify it. So let me get rid of some of these we don't need. And here we go. The main change on this really is just the extrusion height on this. So we're going to go back to the original, and instead of doing partial height, we're going to do full height. But before I do that, I'm going to do a save and a save as. And this is going to be a 1x2 without pin, I think is what they called it. Yeah, brick 1x2 without pin. And now that we have 1x10 without pin, we're going to go into that extrusion, and we're going to do a full height. That boosts that up. That is too tall. What did we do? Okay, we said full height. Let's see what that parameter is, because that is not right. Oh, partial height already has scale in it, so we don't need the ×3 times scale. So that means our Lego master file is wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and modify that and get rid of the time scale on that guy. And finish that sketch. We'll save it. Okay, so our master file again gets updated as we go. Now this one doesn't have the pin in it, and typically for these we're going to only extrude this little bit, but on this one, because it's a window piece on the actual part, so it's usually used as a window right there. So it's on the airplane, it's that window piece right in the back. I don't know if it's used on this model or this one. It doesn't look like it, but since it's supposed to be see-through on that piece, we're going to try to do that and make it see-through. So we're not going to need, or on this sketch, we're going to extrude now. So if we click on the pin portion, it extrudes it, and then we could extrude this up further. And what I'm going to do, that looks about right, actually, because if you look at the actual part, the roof portion is narrower than the walls here, but I'm going to make it all the same. So how do I go about doing that? Well, I'm going to measure what this wall thickness is. So from this wall to this wall is 185 thousandths. So I'm going to go up to this height minus 185 thousandths. So for this, it's going to be negative full height and then plus 0.185. So the reason why we had to do plus 0.185 because we're going a negative distance. So then to account for that negative distance, we're going to drop down. So we have to add it. And that's how it comes out. And now we have the full brick just like that. And again, we might change some settings when we 3D print this so it doesn't have an infill pattern. We might just do extra walls and not do an infill on this piece. We're going to have to try that out and see what we get. But there we go, one piece down of the three that we're doing. I'm going to start with this one now and do a save as, and this is, I'm going to do the 1x1 round at this point. So we're going to do 1x1 round. And I'm going to do a new sketch on this top surface. So this is going to be, it's going to be 0.77. And the reason why it's 0.77 is because that is the diameter of um, the circle that's required to go in between four studs. So what I mean by that, I'm going to go back to the sketch one. So these Lego rounds fit like this in between four studs when you're doing a Lego. So that piece needs to press against these four with a little bit of tightness. So it's essentially the same two dimensions that are here are going to be the outside portion of our Lego um, on this. So we're going to use this dimension here, which is kerf divided by 2 for our offset. And yeah, we're gonna do that here in just a minute. But it's good to see that so we know what we've got. I'm going to look at the second sketch, and this was stud diameter, and I'm going to change that to um, a construction line, and then I'm going to make this kerf divided by 2 for the opening in the bottom of the stud. And then we also, when we extrude this, we got to kind of think how far up this is going and so forth. I'm actually going to make another circle that is going to be Lego base in diameter. And hopefully this will make sense. So this total distance that we are going to extrude all of this up is going to be partial height. And then we want to cut away some of the material on the outside. So we're going to extrude this portion up by hole depth. And it cuts up to there. And then we're going to build the stud on top of this. So we're going to create a sketch on the top of this, and we're going to put a Lego stud on the top of this guy. But we also have to think about, how far this is going to go. We're going to extrude kind of both ways for a distance, and we need to figure out what that is. We're going to go to this distance here when we scroll down, and then we're going to go up stud height when we go up on this. So I think it'll make sense when I actually show you. So we're going to make sure that we get the inside and this, and then we're going to go up this direction by stud height. But then we also want to go the other way. We want to go down this direction. Instead of distance, we're going to go to object, and we're going to go to this right here. And we're going to say OK. So what that did is it basically created this underside. This is the same level here. We have a hole for our stud to enter, and then this should be good. So I'm kind of excited about this. The only thing we have to do now is do a kerf on that. So we're going to do an offset face here. We're going to do a negative kerf. So it shrinks that up. So our new diameter should be 0.937. There it is. And everything else should be good. So this right here should be 0.77, which it is. This diameter here should be 0.58, which matches. And now we can do some chamfers on all these parts. And I put chamfers on these two. Just to give it a little bit of roundness on that. And there's my 1x1 round. So we'll print that, we'll check and make sure it works. And then the final part that we're going to do is the slanted piece here, the sloped piece. So it's a 1x1 slope. So it's this right here, the roof tile. So there's a bunch of different ones on here. They're all the same, they're just different colors. So for that, I'm going to actually start with the 1x1 flat because it's very similar to this, but it just has a slope that we have to count for, which is pretty easy to add into this once this is already done. So we'll do a save as, and this is a roof tile, 1x1 by 2/3, I think is what they said. And probably the easiest way to do this is to just do a sketch on the side and then do a dimension from here up to here, and drop it back down. We're going to make this vertical, and then it said from the ground to here it's going to be full height times 2/3. Now this is going to mess up because again we've got to adjust full height. So you can see there it goes. Kind of crazy. So let's fix that on this file. So we're going to get rid of the scale. That looks better. Then we want to go ahead and dimension from here to the ground. And I think it's 0.02, but I'm going to check that really quickly, and then I'm going to make sure that this is on that line. So yeah, it looks like it's anchored to there, so it's not going to go anywhere. I think we are very close on this. Let me do a quick measurement on this tile piece in front of me, and see what we get. So right there at the end of the tile piece, oh, it's 80 thousandths. So it's a little bit more than that, actually. It's about 95 thousandths. So this should be what just happened. Oh, 0.095. Yeah, it's like, that's not right. Okay, does that look correct? So I kind of sometimes just hold the part up to the screen to kind of give an idea. The other thing you can do is you can kind of zoom out and look, kind of move the part between the monitor and your eye until it lines up the same size. And that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this to object and go over to here. And then I'm going to show that sketch again. And then I'm going to extrude this part and cut that away. And turn that sketch off. I'm going to do some filleting on all of these parts. It's on these as well. Look at the piece. So we're going to do kerf times 2. All of that. There we go. Now, I'm actually going to do an inspection where I'm looking at the section analysis. So if you've never done this, this is pretty cool. It allows you to walk back in space and see what is going on. So in the actual part that's not 3 times the scale, this distance is really small on an actual Lego. So what they've done on this is they've made it so that this, I don't know if this cuts up as high, but then they have a little section where the circle from the stud cuts up into this differently than than this. And I think they do it because this wall thickness is pretty thin. But for our purposes, this is going to be fine. There's plenty of clearance there. We're actually going to print it in this orientation here. So it's going to lay flat on this surface right there on the build plate as we make it. And it should print just fine. We can do a couple checks. Again, we can check along here. 0.568. That's our new value for that because we should have done kerf. Yeah, just kerf right here, which is correct. So there's our angle piece. That's 3 more pieces that we just got finished up. We're well on our way. I think we have, if I'm looking at my parts, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more parts to make for this set, and then we will be completely done. The great thing is you're building a library of parts that you can use then in future builds, and those go a lot faster because once you have kind of a core set of parts, and you can pick up a Lego set, one of these small creator ones, and you might only have to make 5 or 6 parts, and that are different than the ones you already have, and now you're ready to print and make another giant Lego set. So as a class project, something where you can get some friends together and start making these, you can turn out a lot of parts in a short amount of time as you're working together to get this done. Again, as always, stop watching and start making. Let's build something. Have a great day.